All right. Welcome. Oh, try again. Welcome everyone on YouTube and live. This is going to be the 101st Vintage League where I'm actually level 1. We're playing a Jund Buried Alive Arclight Phoenix deck that I like to call Freebird. It's based off of a legacy list by a player known as Kaifly, I believe. It's pretty similar to the legacy list. The only real changes are a shift in mana base to accommodate power, and then the sideboard is where you're really trying to tech your way into the vintage metagame. You're doing a lot of game 1 winning just by the sheer power level of your deck. But game 2, you are boarding in, say, oofs and traps versus PO. You're boarding in needles and ravenous traps for dredge. Against certain blue counterspell opponents, you're going to bring in empty the warrens. And against shops, you sometimes need an out, just kill all the spheres in pulverize. Shops is the worst matchup. Spheres are very hard for this deck to beat. Chalice is almost unbeatable, but that's where we're at. So let's just hop right into this league. Hello, good luck. We're on the play versus act. We've got Thoughtseize, Dark Ritual. This hand needs a little help, but it's actually a pretty decent hand against PO. Obviously, we need to hit a land drop and make red mana. But I almost want to keep it. So even if we were to hit a Buried Alive, we would not be able to put 3 Phoenixes into play with this hand. I think it's just too much of a risk to take this hand, unfortunately. It's very close. If I had a land grant in this hand, I think I would keep it. If I had a Buried Alive in this hand, I would keep it. But because I don't have either of those, I think this is a mulligan. Yeah, this hand's okay. We'll keep it. It doesn't do anything incredibly powerful on turn 1 unless Probe hits a Buried Alive, but we have options, which is nice. We'll just put this Lightning Bolt on the bottom, as we're playing against most likely PO, and we won't really need a Lightning Bolt unless they play Lavinia. Lavinia's not great against our deck. I didn't need to play that out first. Alright, let's see what opponent has. Opponent has turn 1 Tinker with Force of Will backup. Reasonable. So we can hope that they brick on their Citadel by hitting a land. And then maybe we can draw like an Abrupt Decay. Or, an Assassin's Trophy or an Abrade. We do get to make Phoenixes, so if they go too low, we can just 9-ball them. But we would have to beat up Force of Will somehow. It's going to be tough. But we'll let them go for it and see if we can't find a way to fight through it. To be fair, if we kept our Tinker hand, or I guess if we kept our Thoughtseize hand, they would just counter the Thoughtseize. So opponent can hit a land off the top with their Citadel here, in which case we get to take a turn, but we still have to beat the Force of Will somehow. So they did brick on a land here. If we can hit Thoughtseize or Cabal Therapy here, we actually are in a decent shape. We 9-ball them, and then they have to kill us from 10, which is like harder to do. Also, we could hit a Braid here, and maybe they'll counter our Buried Alive, and we can kill them with a Braid. Or we could hit an Arclight Phoenix. Alright. See if they know what's happening. If they know what's happening, they'll counter Buried Alive. If they don't know what's happening, they might counter like a Reanimate spell, in which case we're just going to Reanimate with Dark Ritual. I should have probably done Dark Ritual, Buried Alive, because at that point I could looting after. That was probably a little bit of a mistake, but this does let me use my Dark Ritual next turn. Yeah, I probably should have gone Dark Ritual, Buried Alive, and then looted. There's nothing I can really hit off looting that would have been good is the problem. So I do get to looting away a Phoenix and hit him for 3. Yeah, that was a little bit of a mistake for sure. I should definitely have Dark Ritual, Buried Alive, and then looted. Would have got 3 more damage in. I don't know if that would have been good enough. It wouldn't have been good enough because there's a top here. Unfortunately, Tinker Bolas Citadel is just very, very powerful. And even if you were to restrict Bolas Citadel, the same thing would still happen. So, we're going to be seeing Tinker Bolas Citadels for a very long time. And everyone's going to have to get used to it. Though, Ray, if we went Dark Ritual, Thoughtseize Cabal Therapy with our opening hand, that would have worked. I don't know why our opponent keeps using these Narsets like this, though, when they can use their top instead. I don't know about first bannable card. I guess you could ban Tinker. I'm not like super opposed to the idea of Tinker being bannable. It's not a fun card. Not many people are having fun when Tinker is happening, but there's really no way Vintage is gonna ban cards. So I think people are just gonna have to get used to the idea that Tinker Bolas Citadel is a thing that's going to be happening for a very long time. I'm just gonna concede because I don't really feel like wasting my time waiting for them to find tendrils to kill me. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna board in Oof, and we're gonna board in Mindbreak Trap. Obviously, Oof doesn't stop Tinker, Collector, or Bolas' Citadel, but it does stop PO, which is a big game. I like to board out Young Pyromancer and just bring in Oof to replace it. And then I typically don't think you need an Assassin's Trophy. And I do think I'm going to leave the Abrade in just for Citadel. I think that's okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take one Rite of Flame out. I think that's the most cuttable of the accelerants. We'll submit this. I mean, it's a little hard to say that, right? Not sure. You'd have to be pretty big-brained to see that one coming, I would think. Alright, on the play. Game 2. We've got a turn 2 Oof and a turn 1 Thoughtseize, and that's exactly what we're looking for. Obviously, if they Tinker Citadel us, that's bad, but this is the kind of hand that we do want against PO in the later games. Vintage isn't really about health. It's... Oh my god, I'm an idiot. Well... Shit. I need to play Badlands there. Unfortunately, we will not be oofing on turn 2. I was not paying attention. It's unfortunate. Ah, crap. I think we're just going to take Twister. Oh, there was a Bayou. I'm an idiot. There is a Bayou. I forgot. Yeah, I'm losing my brain at hour 5 here. Not the smartest play. Maybe I'll just draw fast mana and we'll be able to fix everything. We would actually be in unreasonably good shape if I either played Badlands or fetched Bayou. Like, opponent's gonna get locked out by this oof. Yeah, well, I don't stream for 24 hours, Reba. That's, Thanks, Morik. Appreciate that. Yo. What is this? Slater, what is this? You barely lasted 24 hours, so I'm not sure how you're lasting 48 hours. That's not even the worst punt that's been on the stream. Today. I just didn't cast a mental misstep that would win me the game. Oh, you're not doing 48 hours. I mean, that's like unsafe, right? 48 hours straight. You don't really want to do that. Alright, so if I can find a land grant, that should help us here. Or we can do that. That's pretty good. So if I go Rite of Flame, I can't Thoughtseize, but there's probably nothing there for me to Thoughtseize anyways. So I guess we'll just Rite of Flame Buried Alive. And I guess we're going to pitch Thoughtseize because I'd much rather have the option, the ability to maybe play an oof later in this game. Yeah, this mistake is probably going to cost us the game, but that's how it works. 1, 2, 3 birds, for free. Bring them in. Unless we get Rab Trapped. We could get Rab Trapped. Alright, take 9. The opponent can't really Gataxian probe us now, or they'll die. Know what? This is good, though. So, actually, if opponent doesn't probe us, they won't know that we're playing Collector Oof, and so in Game 2, they will not have answers to Oof. Or Game 3, they won't have answers to Oof. See, we're really next... well, never mind. Opponent knows we have an Oof. So, opponent has to kill us this turn. That doesn't seem likely, so I think we're going to win this game, but then opponent gets to be on the play for Game 3. And we shift back towards unlikely for us to win. Yo, Wickeds, thanks for the follow. Wickeds. No, I didn't like Pyroblast in the side, Breba. I didn't find that I ever had the mana to effectively use a Pyroblast. And now that might not actually be true, but that was my biggest problem, was I had Pyroblast in my hand and I couldn't do anything with them. Because I'm playing a proactive game plan, a lot of the times I just don't have the mana to use a Pyroblast or hold up a Pyroblast or anything like that. So opponent found something. They drew into Ponder and will shuffle. Alright, so I think we're good here. Seeing as opponent probed and decided not to give themselves another turn. Opponent didn't have to probe with life, and they could have made it another turn. It might be a mistake from our opponent, I would say. Alright, I'm going to keep the same plan as before. I do like this plan against PO. I think this deck actually is pretty good against PO. Especially if they're going for Bolas Citadel. Hitting them with 3 Phoenixes one time is enough to fizzle Bolas Citadel sometimes. And then, obviously, Oof is very good against the PO part of their deck, and we're playing 4 of them. We can actually easily cast them if I'm not an idiot. I have land grants and fetch lands for forests. On the draw, things get a little more difficult. This game's pretty good, though. This game's not bad. We can therapy for PO, and we can keep up a trap, or we can therapy for something. We're gonna have the blind therapy. Drawing a Dark Writ will be very good. We have a trap to save us for a little while, too, which is nice. So we're just gonna blind therapy on... I think we're blind therapy on Tinker, seeing as we can beat Pia with Trap. Whereas there's a chance we can't beat Tinker with Trap. We could also just name Force. I think Tinker's a better name than Force. It's close, though. Our game plan does kind of need to beat a Force of Will. They have a Force of Will. Okay. But we can try to play around Force of Will as well. Though they might just Force of Will our land grant, which would be annoying. No, Force could have been a better name. Yeah, I maybe think that maybe Force was a better name. It gets a little challenging, the blind therapy. I'm still getting better at it. So we actually can't stop this Ancestral, unfortunately. Yeah, but it's going to be hard for us to beat a Force too. So I actually think Force is probably better. Because we're now gonna have to either reanimate a bird and therapy, or like find another Thoughtseize, which we could find another Thoughtseize. That could definitely happen. But like it's kind of likely opponent will just like counter our land grant here. Oh, they're like 100% to counter our land grant now that we showed them an oof. But we're gonna cast this land grant, reveal our Mindbreak Trap. Not a great combo, of course. But so this is the real problem of not naming. Oh, they let that resolve? That's insane. Alright, well, I'm going to jam this oof and get it forced. Am I going to jam this oof and get it forced? Or am I just going to cast Faithless Looting and try to find something to beat a force? I think it's like pretty reasonable, actually, to try to find something to beat a force instead. Obviously, if we find like a second oof, that would work too. Opponent's going to force the Faithless Looting, pitching Force of Will. Very odd. Very odd. Alright, well, if we get to live another turn, we can just jam an oof down. I guess they have a Chain of Vapor, right? So a Chain of Vapor does beat an oof. So maybe they don't think... Maybe they're more afraid of two Phoenixes going into the yard than they are of an oof, which is probably fair. So we still do want to do something about this Chain of Vapor. But I think it's fine to play an oof. Well, we can just looting next turn. And if we find a land, then we can play an oof too. We've got a lot of options if we make it to our next turn, for sure. So they don't have Mystical Tutor anymore either. All we know is they have a Chain of Vapor, another unknown, and are spinning their top. But they just used their fetch, so they have a brand new 3. I don't mind where we're at in this game. If we draw Dark Ritual, it's pretty good for us, as we can just go Dark Ritual, Buried Alive, Faithless Looting. We have a Bolt if they have a Lavinia. So if they play a Lavinia and then combo off, we can't trap if we don't have Bolt up. It depends. It depends, Reva. A lot of times you're baiting cards, so... so we can beat this chain now. But we need to find some more fast mana. So let's loot and see what we have. We have some disposable cards as well here. So... dispose a Lightning Bolt. Dispose an Arclight Phoenix. I guess we'll just get rid of this, just get rid of this chain now, and then next turn we can play Collector Oof. Alright, they have a Tendrils in hand. Should be okay against that. As long as there's nothing great in their top 4, we should be able to lock them down with an Oof, and we should be good to go. Doesn't look like there's anything great in their top 4 if they're already spinning after drawing. Obviously, we're one free spell away here from a Buried Alive as well, which is really, really good. Like a land grant or a probe. Uh-oh, they found something. Oh yeah, I don't care about that. Whatever. Obviously, that gets rid of our trap, but like we can Faithful Suiting our trap away or something. So we're in a good spot here. We'll jam this. The top. They're gonna redraw their top, which is dead. They can't do anything about this. We're in a good spot. I would be considered not excited about the rule of law, but I know a lot of people are. It kind of is not good against. It's kind of very good against the things that I like to be doing in Magic, so that kind of tilts me a little bit. But so we could always reanimate Phoenixes by sacking our Oof to a therapy, but I don't really think we want to be doing that. We're just like one spell away. I don't think we want to cast Rite of Flame Buried Alive right now because we do need to find that other spell. Obviously, this Lotus Petal doesn't really work either. So, I mean, we could sack Oof and take their Tendrils and hit them for 9, but I don't think we need to. I think having the Collector Oof in play should be one of our biggest strengths right now. We could Rite of Flame Looting, but I think we're more interested in casting a Buried Alive. Lotus Petal is turned off at the moment, so we can't do that. This card makes it so I can't use artifacts. Dark Ritual we got there. Awesome. Dark Ritual. So we're actually going to bring them to 1 here. Rite of Flame, Buried Alive, Bird, 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 and bring back the birds. And then we're going to Cabal Therapy with some of these birds after and rip apart their hand. Tendrils, because we know it's there, and then we'll grab the next best card after. We don't even need to grab that top. Alright, we got there. So yeah, this is why I kind of think that the PO matchup is pretty good. 4 oofs is a lot of oofs, and 8 Thoughtseize effects-ish, depends on how you count Cabal Therapy, are pretty strong. So we've already won the same amount as we won with our 2018 PO list. Good times, good times. We have 4 oof in the sideboard. It's basically the Kaifly vintage Kaifly legacy list in the main, minus the Bedlam Revelers and insert like Black Lotus, Demonic Tutor. And then in the board you're playing a vintage sideboard of 4 oof, 4 trap, 2 Mindbreak Trap, Needles, Empty the Warrens against Xerox and